Here's what's coming today on the Woodworking Network podcast.
And what we're seeing in schools a lot of the time is they might be taking the science teacher and saying, hey, now you're the wood shop teacher. And they're coming in and they're being put in these positions and they don't have support.
Welcome to the 5th season of the Woodworking Network podcast and a new episode. Join us as we explore the business of woodworking, big and small, and what it takes to succeed. I'm Will Sampson. Today's episode is sponsored by FDMC Magazine. My guests are Ethan Rowe, Director of Sales, and Dylan Schudie, Business Rep from Grizzly Industrial, talking about new efforts to support education and small business development in the woodworking industry. But first, I want to talk about, is woodworking education coming back? Over the past 20 years or so, it seems public education has been in a war against wood shops. I can't count how many tales I've heard or reported on involving the demise of high school and middle school shop programs. But there might be glimmers of hope that the trend is coming to an end. The classic story has been that school officials, in their mad dash to get all students to go to four-year colleges, lost sight of the value of technical education in general, and woodworking in particular. As far as they were concerned, the U.S. doesn't manufacture anything anymore. That's all done in China. We're in service economy now. We don't need to prepare students for careers in manufacturing. Besides, manufacturing is dirty, dangerous, and doesn't pay. Boy, how wrong can they be? But thanks to the industry efforts and people like the Dirty Jobs star Mike Rowe, who have brought attention to this challenge, some educators are actually learning a thing or two about the real world and deciding that there is room in public schools for tech ed and wood shops. That's great news because some of the stories of the past 20 years are really sad. One of the worst I remember was a North Carolina school district that had a vibrant woodworking program with some 80 students, mostly from underprivileged backgrounds. Those kids were looking for good family wage jobs once they left high school with no debt from a four-year college to slow them down. The woodshop program even had strong local support from a woodworking business that was sharing materials and modern CNC technology with the program. That business was even working to help get the school its own CNC. But the school officials decided it was a better idea to drop the whole wood program and replace it with a trendy culinary education program. In other words, they were going to train kids for minimum wage jobs in restaurant industry instead of careers in manufacturing. I even had my own quixotic battle to save what was left of a woodworking program in a school in Connecticut, in the town that was ironically home to Fine Woodworking magazine. The district had already done away with its high school woodworking program, and they were about to kill the middle school shop because the teacher had retired. When they hired a new technology teacher, he was afraid to have stationary machines like table saws, planers, and joiners in the shop. A scroll saw cutting popsicle sticks was about as much woodworking as he wanted. But apparently some educators are finally learning something. I'm hearing stories of schools reactivating their woodshop programs. That's great news, but they will need lots of help from industry. Machinery is not cheap. Some of the new instructors need advice and support. Are you in touch with your local school woodworking program, if it still exists? Have you taken any steps to suggest to school officials and school board members to revisit support of woodworking? Don't give up. Woodworking will rise again. Before we get to our interview with the gentleman from Grizzly, let's pause for a word from our sponsor. FDMC Magazine is your vital source of information to improve your woodworking business, whether it is keeping you apprised of the latest advances in manufacturing, helping you solve your wood technology problems with Gene Wengert, or inspiring you with case histories about successful businesses and best practices. FDMC Magazine is there to be the sharpest business tool in your shop. Learn more and subscribe for free at woodworkingnetwork.com/FDMC. Now let's talk about education and support for young woodworking professionals with Ethan Rowe and Dylan Schudie.
Hello, everybody. I'm Will Sampson from Woodworking Network and FDMC Magazine, and we are here live in Schaumburg, Illinois, for a live broadcast of the Woodworking Network podcast. And I have two gentlemen here from Grizzly Industrial to join me and talk about some great, interesting new developments from Grizzly. I have Ethan Rowe on this end, who is Director of Sales. Is that correct? Yes?
Yep.
And then we have Dylan Schudie. And what's your title, Dylan?
I'm the business rep for Grizzly.
Business rep. Okay, well, we're going to talk about that for sure. But the first thing that I want to bring up is we are really excited to have Grizzly here at this show because this is the culmination of our Young Wood Pro contest that we have every year. And we're not going to reveal who the winner is. That's for tonight at the reception. But Grizzly has supported this contest not only by providing a prize, a great table saw, as a prize for the contest, but also in supporting the whole concept of young woodworking professionals and what it takes to improve their business. We have a landing page on our website that is just for the Young Pro program, and Matt Buell, a custom woodworker from Arkansas, who is here at the show. He is the host for the contest, and he provides advice to help young wood professionals succeed in their business, both in videos and in columns on there. And that is all year long, thanks to support from Grizzly. So I kind of want to start off by asking, what made Grizzly think about supporting young wood professionals?
Well, there's a few reasons that we support young wood professionals, and we support businesses and schools. And we recognize that for businesses such as you out there and those that are here, you're investing in these students as well. You're hiring these students sometimes directly from trade schools. And we're really making a big effort to enhance trade schools, to give them the product they need so that businesses such as those here can hire those skilled workers. And so at Grizzly, we're passionate about woodworking. And so that's why we're investing in the future as well.
Well, that's really, really important to be doing that. And one of the things that I've said over the years, time and again, is an awful lot of people get into this industry not because they want to have a successful business, but because they like making stuff. And they don't have formal business training. And, you can't just make the product. You have to figure out how to run the business and make the business successful. So I think that's a neat thing to have Grizzly trying to invest in that success.
That's right. And we recognize that a lot of the young woodworkers out there and professionals, they get into this and they're looking at the final product. They want to make the table, they want to make the chair, they want to make the cabinet, and we're the friction in the middle between what their end goal is. So they need the table saw or they need the band saw to get to what their final goal is. And so what we're doing is we're doing our best to support them with that friction in the middle. And we do that through outside sales reps involved in education. Many of them are former instructors, and they've been involved in competitions with Skills USA as an example, as judges, and they've been in the industry for a long time. And what we're seeing in schools a lot of the time is they might be taking the science teacher and saying, hey, now you're the wood shop teacher. And they're coming in and they're being put in these positions and they don't have support. And so through having outside sales reps who, I don't even like to call them sales reps because they're really consultants. They understand how grants work and where to go to get the money for your school. They understand the training programs that these students need. They can help give them career advice on where to look after trade school. And that's a big support for the new teachers out there, and that's something that we're going to continue to do.
Yeah, that's really important. I think that's great. And one of the things that I think, and I just was talking to you yesterday about this, that I think is a wonderful, optimistic, remarkable thing that Grizzly is seeing happening out in the world there, which is more schools reviving their woodworking programs. And that is great. Maybe they finally got the message that not everybody is going to go to college.
I think trades, a lot of people are opening up to trades, and we've been hearing that here. This has been a great conference that's been pushing education and training all together, and it's all connected because it all starts in school. And you go through school, and your students are learning on whatever brand of machine it is, but they're also going to carry that into their future career. They could be a business owner, and they might decide to outfit their entire shop in whichever brand, and that kind of leads into our business program. So we now have, it's the Grizzly Business Advantage, and Dylan with us here today oversees a lot of the phone calls that are coming into that. And another part of what we recognize is by investing in saying we're going to do these things, we have to have the support to back it up. And so we've established these programs to kind of give that white glove service, to give that mentorship, to help businesses cut through the red tape. You know, you need a credit application, or you need to submit a purchase order, or you need vendor forms, tax exempt. Those are all things that we're working with now. Grizzly's a big company, and we have a contact center in Missouri, and they're getting a lot of phone calls from our e-commerce customers. So that could be your hobbyists, your DIYers, your weekend warriors. But businesses and students have a unique need, and we recognize that, and that's why we've established these programs.
Dylan, you want to talk a little bit more about what kind of a relationship are you trying to create between these mostly small shop professionals and Grizzly, and how are you trying to help them in their businesses?
Yeah, I think we've heard it all day today, people coming by, and they don't even realize that we have it, and we're just launching it, and it's new. And I think being able to be a resource for these business owners, because again, they might have questions that are super unique to just their case or whatever they're trying to craft in their shop, whether it be a cabinet or a chair. They have very unique questions that need to be answered, and so they can come directly to me, and that's where that white glove service really comes into play. You don't have to go through general customer service for those general questions to get answered, and it's having that resource and that kind of that clarity right to you that you've got a person to connect to, and whether that be a quote or whether that be looking for answers on questions, or even, nothing's ever going to go perfect. A machine might break down and you need a part replaced, or you need a certain jig for a project that you're working on. Being able to come to me and I can help them out directly with that and get their machine shop up and running on the path they want it to. Because
so now, are you getting dedicated sales reps connected to specific companies? Is that how it's working, or are you mostly handling it, or how is this working?
Yeah, so we're very early on. It's kind of the new year since we've rolled this out and announced it on our website. And so far it's just me, and it's kind of in the testing phase at the moment, trying to iron out all the wrinkles as we go on. And I know, like Ethan said, once we get crazy enough, that's when we'll start the expansion. So it's been really great learning a ton and hearing feedback from people, even here at the show, picking people's brains as we go along, and it's been good so far.
I'd like to add one thing, too, that we've heard a lot from the businesses we work with is easing their procurement efforts. If you're a business and you have a full shop, you're going to need consumables, you're going to need your machines. As Dylan stated, parts, which is something we pride ourselves on as well. We have a vast amount of parts in stock and ready to go, so if there is an issue, your business is not going to be down because you're missing a part. But having, north of 8,000 SKUs, you could submit one purchase order, and you get it all together, and that's time saving. That's not having to go around and find which vendor do I go to for this or this or this. And so that's been a big plus that we've heard as well from a lot of businesses.
Well, I think anything that helps, particularly these smaller shops and less experienced shops, to be more efficient in their business and easier in their business, the kind of the one-stop shop thing, but also that consultative approach to smooth out the whole business process. That makes a huge difference in the small shop guys, especially the ones that are not so experienced. They don't know how these things work. A lot of the shops that I talk to that are brand new, they don't know about distribution and wholesale and all these different kinds of things that are out there. And here's a company that maybe they've done business with before as a consumer or a hobbyist, who now can address their business needs and do it in a way that is fitting to their business. I think that's a neat thing.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, the people we're working with here, and especially here at the convention, like these guys are experts at their craft. And we want to be able to support them at the best way possible. And in doing that is making sure their machines are running okay. And if they have any questions or need support regarding their machines in any way, that's our goal, is to make sure that they're working nonstop and that they're doing what they're experts at, and we can do what we're experts at, and that's provide them good machinery.
That's great. That's great. Now, I want to go back to the education thing a little bit. I think that the whole idea of you're hiring these former woodworking shop educators as salespeople is masterful. and hearing the stories, can you relate an example of how one of these guys helped a new woodworking teacher in a program?
Yeah. And when they start in we're like, are you interested in maybe doing some sales? Like, oh, I've never done that. I was like, you're just acting as a consultant. You're speaking with other teachers, and they love it. They have a passion for helping schools out, and so they get a lot of enjoyment just going in and mentoring and speaking with these new instructors. And an example, one of our reps that covers the Missouri territory, he walked into a school, introduced himself, and he takes a spin around the shop and sees what they have going on, and it's a new instructor, and they're asking, how do I purchase, and what do I need to do here? And so he's helping explain how a grant cycle will work, and how long to keep the machine, and when to sell the machine, and what the state's going to give you back in terms of funding so you can buy a new machine. And right after he's done with that conversation, hey, by the way, my sander's having some issue with some tracking as well. And so then he was a wood shop instructor. So now he walks over to the sander and gets it aligned for him. And it's that kind of service. And we find it invaluable. I think it's really tough to replicate that without somebody who's been in the education industry for that long and just understands the whole process, because there's a lot to it. You don't get to go in and just say this is how it all works. As a new teacher, it's a lot to learn, and unfortunately sometimes we'll see at different schools the instructors getting cycled through quite a bit. And for a new instructor to come in, they don't even know where to look to purchase their consumables. And we really just want to make that as easy as possible to let them focus on teaching these students and training these students for the future woodworkers and skilled craftspeople that we're so excited to be investing in.
Yeah, I think that's really crucial, especially, the history right now, over the last 10 years or more and more schools have been dropping woodworking programs completely, and so you're almost starting from scratch, or you are starting from scratch in some of these programs where they've finally come around and are trying to rehabilitate or start it. So, they don't even have any history at all. It's tough. I worked in Connecticut to try and save a local middle school woodworking program. They'd already gotten rid of their high school program, and I was hoping to keep the woodworking program in the middle school alive, and I was actually teaching adult ed in that classroom at night, and would get kids from the day program that didn't get enough woodworking, and they would come and take my class at night. And so I wanted to keep it going, and when the day instructor retired, they brought in this new guy who was really uncomfortable with any machine bigger than a scroll saw, and so we had to do a lot of work to get him back up to speed and all that. And I imagine that's what some of your new reps are having to deal with.
Absolutely. I mean, some of those big stationary machines, to somebody who's never been on one, that can be intimidating. And in stepping into a position like that and not having anybody to help you or understand the machine or like I described, any of it, where to purchase, that again is something that we're trying to address. And we're trying to do it over the phone as best we can if we don't have somebody in their area, and we're also getting into as many school districts as we can and making those connections. There's a lot of schools now too who they may want a machine, but it's over a certain dollar amount, and now they have to go out for bid, and they'll need to get 3 bids, but it might be a Grizzly machine anyhow, but they have to go to bid. And so we're finding ways to help ease that process as well. Again, focused on pure procurement. There's purchasers at schools, and we want to make their job easier as well. It's the whole thing. It's all connected, and we're still learning ourselves. I mean, it's a complex industry, and it's still fairly new for us, but I feel like we're learning very quick. We're doing a great job. We're getting great feedback, which I'm really happy to hear.
That's exciting. But I just, this whole concept of having suppliers and vendors invested in the industry that they support, you're not just making money off of these folks, that you're invested in the future of the industry. And even in a short-term future, like what Dylan is doing here with some of these professional shops is creating a stream that they can continue on year after year and be confident in that they can run their business that way. I think that makes a huge difference.
Totally, yeah. I've already heard it here today already that people are, I grew up on Grizzly. I stick with Grizzly now in my own shop, and being able to be with them every step of the process, whether it's a younger kid getting into woodworking or it's a shop and they've only worked on Grizzly, it makes their product better, and it helps us out that they want to stick with us, because I mean, we definitely put a lot into our products, and we enjoy giving those kids, and especially the schools here, like our table saw that we're handing out today for the winter.
Yeah, tell us about that table saw, because it's a pretty nice machine.
Definitely, yeah. It's our G0899 cabinet table saw. It's a 10-inch, 2-horsepower table saw, and that thing's going to be a machine for him for a while. He's going to get a lot of use out of it.
Now, is it a 240 machine or 110, or how does it work?
I think it's a 230 volt machine, single phase. Yep.
Great. One of the things too that I think maybe some people that haven't done business with Grizzly in a while don't realize is the breadth of what you have in your catalog now. I mean, you have not just woodworking, you have metalworking equipment, you have the South Bend line that Grizzly resuscitated from a certain demise in Indiana, and then you've got CNC machines and some high-tech stuff and panel processing equipment and a lot of different things. Musical instruments.
We do. We're very proud of our catalog. We've got it here at our booth today, and unfortunately, though, we forgot our totes to hand out. So it's kind of like carrying a phone book around. So we try to make it as easy as you can, but we do not have totes.
There are other, DC Distributing has totes. But no, it's great, and that again goes back to the one-stop shopping situation. With if you're ordering parts for your machine that you need to do maintenance on, well, I can get some more blades, I can get more belts, I can get more glue, I can get fasteners, whatever. It's all there.
Yeah. And I know we're talking a lot about woodworking, but it's a good point. Our South Bend line, lathes and mills for metalworking, there's a lot of it. And South Bend, I mean, it started in 1906, I believe. That's high precision stuff. We put that in a lot of colleges and universities and businesses all over the country. We're really proud of that line.
And now, isn't South Bend too? I think somebody told me once that you had an ongoing contract with the Navy that a lathe gets put on every U.S. Navy ship.
Yeah, it's on a number of destroyers, and CNC is great, and we obviously sell CNC. But if your CNC breaks down, you're looking to a manual machine. If you need to make a one-off part and you're on a destroyer, on a ship, you don't necessarily want to or need to plug in the software, figure out what program and design it, and then hit start. It's a one-off part. You hop on your manual lathe and you pump it out.
Yeah. No, I definitely can appreciate the programming. I'm learning CNC myself, and I recently was doing a project where it took me an hour and a half to figure out how to program the part, which took about 4 minutes to make.
Yeah.
So, that can happen, but I think that's a really neat thing, and I'm glad to hear that the reception has been positive for both the education and the business-to-business efforts. I'm glad to see you guys here at a show. I mean,
It's a great show.
Grizzly has
Awesome.
not
Awesome
been at
so
a
far.
show in a long time.
Yeah, it's been a great show. We're very happy to be here.
That's great. What kinds of things do you, from what you hear and your experience with customers, what kinds of advice would you give young wood professionals that are getting started in their business that relates to machinery or conducting the sales part of their business or anything?
I mean, it's simple, but I would have to really say just stay at it. I mean, follow it. There's a lot of good opportunities popping up in trades that the perception of trades is changing. And you see a lot of kids that go to colleges and universities and they get out and they want to get into a trade and wish they had gone to trades. And the trades are paying very well, and it's only getting better. And it's definitely a need. We've heard that in other people speaking today as well, but it can't be said enough that the trades are very important, and students staying with it, teachers supporting those students, businesses helping those teachers support those students, and then businesses also helping businesses find those students to hire that have those skills and do something they have a passion with. And like I said early on, we're in the middle of that piece. They need the table saw, they need the tools to complete their passion. And that's what we're trying to do, and that would be the advice I would have for any young professional woodworker, is just to stick to it and stay with your passion.
What about you, Dylan? What's your advice?
I mean, similar to Ethan, I feel like there's a bad almost stigma to it, and it really doesn't make any sense. I mean, like going into the trades is something that should be promoted more so because of the need that we're in at the moment. And I think sticking to a passion and being good with your hands and working with some good machines and building some incredible furniture and whatever it might be that you're interested in. I think you need to definitely lean into it and don't stray away from it at all.
Yeah, well, and I think there's a long-standing misperception outside of the industry as to what woodworking is these days. And we're on this stage where there was a demonstration earlier, and there's sawdust below us here, and I was saying in my head, well, I guess they needed better dust collection, and so that's one of the things that needs to be done. But wood shops are cleaner than they have been in ages, and more high tech than they have been in ages, and all of our products are getting that way too. So
it's turned into a dynamic craft, and the technology is moving fast, and keeping up with that technology is a challenge in of itself. And that's another I would say another segment of students are being drawn into woodworking because of some of that technology. Programming the CNC, that's some students love that. That's their favorite part about it. And then they get to plug that software in, and now they're designing what their passion is through CNC. So there's a lot of different avenues into woodworking, into metalworking, And it's really exciting to see that, and it's really exciting just to see the creativity that the young wood professionals and students these days are coming up with. It's great to see.
Well, we're going to see a lot of that tonight at the awards reception for both the Young Wood Pro and the Top Shelf Awards. And everybody here, I hope, can get to the reception. You're going to see some amazing work in both closets and cabinets and furniture, and we're going to award our prize to our young wood professional. And Michelle Bradford from Closets and Organized Storage will be awarding prizes to the Top Shelf winners. It's going to be a great thing. So, when you're done with the show today, head over to the reception this evening, and you'll have a great experience of some inspirational and aspirational projects. I want to thank Ethan and Dylan for coming today, and thanking Grizzly for everything you've done for this program and what you're going to be doing in the future for our young woodworking professionals. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it for today. If you're looking for more of our podcasts, you can find all of them at woodworkingnetwork.com/podcasts and in popular podcast channels. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Thanks again to today's sponsor, FDMC Magazine. If you have a comment or topic you'd like us to explore, contact me at will.sampson@woodworkingnetwork.com. Thanks for listening.